Hey. Check, check. Check, check. Mic's not on yet. Yeah, it's in the run-up when I have like logos and stuff going and some music. Yeah, one minute till start time, so. No. I got coffee and, oh yeah, check this out. Oh, it's almost 9:05, about to fire up the camera. Alright. Oh, you can hear my mic. I muted the wrong thing. Ha ha! Fun. There we go. Good morning, folks. Let's woohoo! Let's back that down. I'm going to show you what I got to wake up to today. This little fella. Yeah. This thing was interesting to build. Yeah. So, yeah, that was This printed in 1, 2, 3, 4, let's see, three parts. Let me sit it down for just a second. I'm terrified that I'll actually drop it or something. So, all right. Oh, yeah, Gina says hi. So, yeah, let me come back over where I can monitor this and actually show it to you, right? You guys can, Janice, my fiance Janice is letting the doggies in and out, which goes right through the studio. And there was Toki. So, yeah, this crazy piece of work right here, I am stupidly proud of. It's got a little bit of work to go on it. You could see the seam on the wings right here where it's glued together. So the way that I deal with that is after it's glued together, I will take some of the resin that this stuff is printed with and a brush, and I will brush that in until it fills the gap, and then I'll gently feather that out around the gap. And then, since this one's too big to sit in my UV box, I have a UV wash and cure station back here. This is too big to sit in the UV station. So after I've painted that area with resin, I will take this guy and just sit him outside so that sunlight will cure that resin. And when that cures, you won't be able to tell there was ever a gap anywhere there. There's a very slight one. You gotta look. The bond is much better between the tail where it connects. But I'll probably treat that area too. I like to treat those areas with a little extra resin and let that cure, because of the way that it just solidifies all that stuff up. I think I've got a leftover support right there I might need to file out, but still, you know, whatever. Yeah, this guy printed in, he is set up in 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. The core piece right here, which I might just fire up Zbrush in a minute, and which actually I do need to go ahead and open Zbrush. I'll just do that off screen. Maybe I'll open up the models to this and let you guys see that. So the let's just, I'm gonna hold this here while I go grab that. Okay, and then I can come back. So yeah, this is 4 pieces, and the body here took, I think, about 5. No, it was around 9 hours to print. So for the machine to pull that out of the resin took about 9 hours. And then the wings, and tail all ran at the same time, which is really nice. That way it got all 3 models output from the resin. But that was a 15-hour print on those wings and tail. So full total, this thing took a full day, a little over a day actually. 15 and 8, 20, it took just under a day. It took about 23 hours total to print. So the original sculpt on this was done all the way back in 2013. I've been sitting on this guy for a while. I actually had him available at Shapeways, but I never sunk the money to have a copy made from there. And I'm glad that I didn't, actually, because the quality that I can get now at home with resin just blows away what we ever got doing any of this stuff through Shapeways. I mean, I had a couple things printed from them years and years ago, and it's just, we're in a completely different place now. So anyway, yeah, it's man, it is so satisfying to have been doing this stuff for all this time, and now be able to have my stuff actually physically in my hand and not just on a damn screen. Yeah. So I've mentioned it in repeated streams now that there's some stuff coming down the pipe with the business related to this, you know, with my studio, some areas we're going into, partnerships with my publisher and things like that to really make a lot of this stuff available much more easily for everyone. There you can see his back. Really like the details on that. In the back, you can see the gap in that one wing much more clearly. So, but that's okay. That will get taken care of. Actually, while I'm on the subject of these resin prints, hey Janice, could you hand me the big guy from up there? Very gently pass the big boy over. So, and the little version too. I want to do a side by side with them. Okay. So this guy just got paint on him yesterday, and I've shown the little version. Okay, this was the little version of my werewolf sculpt from some time back. Let me hide my face so that it comes in clear. Okay. That's the little version. Now, here's the big dog. So, and then we'll do a little side by side here with them. There we go. So, I am so stoked to be able to have these things. There we go. In hand, finally. I love my werewolves. And I have a photo booth set up for taking like really nice shots of this stuff. So maybe later today I should be getting some really nice images together that I'll share online. So as prints like this come out, I'll be doing that. I'll be taking actual photos of them more and more to use as we build our catalog and eventually open up an online store of resin prints. I'm still debating as to whether I want to offer the STL files for people to be able to print themselves. I don't know. If anybody has any thoughts on that, let me know. I know I personally like it because I do like the idea that, you know, that like offering STLs, then, you know, different people have different ways that they like of doing the supports, and that I can get into that sometime if you need an explanation. But for resin prints to be printed, they have to have support structures built onto them to hold them as they come out of the vat. And a lot of different people will have their own particular preferences and style of doing those. So offering an STL allows people who want to print their own to do that. The STLs can be sold much cheaper because it's a digital file. And that, again, you know, some people some people for the sake of a budget, they want to do the stuff. Some people get into 3D printing. Actually, even though the printers can seem expensive, they compare the expense of the printers to the expense of buying minis and buying collectibles to paint, and actually veer towards learning the 3D printing because it's wildly more cost effective. Wildly. So, I mean, there are collectibles I've had in the past that I know, you know, sell for hundreds of dollars because they've been, you know, kind of special or whatever, that, you know, that cost as much as a small printer. And there's some collectibles out. If you look at places like Sideshow and you look at, you know, in the diamond catalogs and things like that, you're going to find statuary and sculpts and things that are that off the shelf cost as much as a small printer. So I get it. I totally get it. I mean, I'm kind of miserly to begin with, and that's part of the reason I got into 3D printing. You know, it was well, and of course because I do 3D, so I want my own sculpts. I want my own sculpts in my hand. So it's something that was a long time coming. It really needed to happen. So anyway, yeah, I will probably veer towards offering STL files for folks. I don't like the piracy aspect of it. I know good and well that the minute you offer something as a digital file, it's going to get pirated. I hate that. And I'm exploring a lot of different avenues for that. I do think there is a degree of honesty among the folks in the mini community and among the hobbyists and all that stuff. And with the costs of those files being so low, I think a lot of people have balanced that out. But, you know, it's a debate to be had, and it's a debate that I've kind of been up to my eyeballs in for literally my entire career. Is about piracy of artists' files. Anyway, I will definitely be offering like actual hand-pulled copies of these. When I say hand-pulled, I mean like I am pulling them off the plate. You know, I make the stuff, I send it to the printers, plate pulls out the resin, I pull it from the plate. It is literally hand-pulled by the artist. You're not going to find that all that often, you know? So it's kind of a cool thing. I think it's cool. My publisher thinks it's pretty cool. So there's definitely some Apocalypse Girl stuff coming. You can bet. You can straight bet. Apocalypse Girl project I got coming with Dirk Manning at Source Point. You can bet we got some collecties going on with that. Then we got a whole other big dog project on deck that we have some T's to cross and some I's to dots, but it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and just putting some logistics in place. But there's some cool stuff coming. So anywho, let's see. Let me pop over to yonder chat for a second. I know I haven't drawn or sculpted anything yet. I did want to throw today open as a request day. So now that I've gotten my kind of opening spiel going, we got a couple folks in here. I see Gina and Sean. Figured I would yammer on for a minute, see if a couple other folks popped in. Let's see. Just skimming here. Gina says, I know all your exciting news make me want to haul my cookies to Kentucky. But I'm melting in Vermont? You in Vermont right now? Pretty sure I'll die in a Kentucky summer with poor Finnegan. I'll tell you, I've been up there, you know, in New England for summers many times, and you know what? It doesn't get much hotter down here. Really doesn't. It just lasts a little longer. Yeah, just lasts a little longer. Gina asked if I would take commissions, like model request and print it. Yeah. I mean, I'll do commissions. I'm betting you're wanting to commission one of your little dog. Actually, doing dog sculpts is something that dogs and pets and things like that is something I'm probably going to do. Like actually work up some methods that I can do them relatively quickly and offer them. And you know, there's I don't want to be on a complete downer, but you know, we had a recent loss for ourselves. Janice's precious little I think she's a Maltese. She's a poodle. She's a very tiny little poodle. But her little poodle Lucy just left us, and you know, little dog managed to pull out 17 years. I joked that dog managed to live this enormous lifetime fueled on pure spite. But yeah, the little dog had been kind of convalescing at Janice's sister's house for a while, who has, she breeds dogs and has a lot of space, and just a really good facility for, I mean, it was kind of like doggy hospice. It was both kind of nice and kind of sad at the same time. But I know, you know, Janice is kind of going through her time with it and all that. And, you know, one of the things that I would like to do is be able to do, you know, some kind of a sculpt or something that I can run off for her of her little dog Lucy. You know, there's dogs I've had in the past that I actually would like to have some memorial thing of. So, yeah, that's kind of a thing, you know, actually, that is, you know, was actually on my mind, and Gina saying that just kind of brought it out. So, because I know if Gina's going to commission a sculpt of anything, it's going to be Finny. Her little dog Finnegan is a hoot. He is hilarious. He's an Ewok. The dog is a damned Ewok, and it kills me. He's so funny. But yeah, you know, we had ourselves a little, you know, a loss in the family. So, I am not a big softy, Gina. I am not a big softy. You take those words back. Those are fighting words. I'm a big mean sculpting machine. Ain't no softy here. All right. So I'm gonna grab a slurp of coffee and kind of reset myself here. And oh dear Lord, I feel a sneeze coming. Woo! Yeah. Hope that got muted. Oh wait. Looks like was my audio weird up until just now? Somebody let me know. I actually had the audio turned on the camera, but I have a separate mic that's right here, just off camera. And that is what should be on. But my software apparently decided to bring the audio input back for the camera. So anyway, all right, we're a few minutes deeper in than I like to be before I get started. So I'm going to move this light touch. It's kind of glaring off the Cintiq. So today was going to be a little, oh wait, Today was going to be a request stream. I also wanted to show this model off before, oh, yeah. There we go. Show the sculpt of this guy off since I was showing the piece on stream. And I just noticed Roman just got here. So good morning, Roman. And I'll show you this. You'll dig it, dude. I'll put this guy back up on screen one more time. So this, if you go back and rewatch the first few minutes of the stream later, you'll get the explanation of what all that is. Sean O'Neill asks, what kind of paint do I use for my minis? For minis and collectible painting, let's see, I'm using Reaper paints, Reaper Miniatures paints, and also US Art airbrush paints. And I really like those airbrush paints. Those airbrush paints, they're transparent. I should say translucent because they are not transparent. I hate that. Whatever. Paint does that. But they're transparent, translucent paints. So like you could spray down some yellow and then spray some blue over it, and you'll get wherever they meet a blending of green out of it, and you can really build up colors in a watercolor kind of way like that. Like this guy right here has been painted with layers of that, and also some what is the brand of ink I use? I also use inks instead of paints. So like this Daler and Rowney FW ink, and it's really weird too. Like this stuff. See, this was the Scarlet. There's that werewolf had a lot of his basing done in a burnt sienna ink that when you first look at the bottle, it looks orange, and then you shake it up and it gets very brown. And the thing that I like about inks over paints a lot of times, like I'll use inks first to get these washes over something. I'll do a lot of washes because I mean I've got a ton of sculpted detail in these things, and so I'll paint them. I'll get it all based out with like a light matte or satin finish, either black or white. I tend to go one or the other. It just depends. Most of the time, I actually go with white and a very light base coat. And then I will come back over it with inks and do washes with inks to get a lot of color areas set up and to get this gradient built up out of the different the depths on the model. And once I have a lot of tones built up like that, then I'll probably go back through and do a little blending with an airbrush. Again, building up more tones. And last, I come back over it with just a ton of dry brushing to hit the raised areas and bring out all the little stuff like the you know the fur on there and so on. There's actually very little fine detail painting in any of this because the sculpts, like before I print a sculpt, I will make sure that I increase, especially now with ZBrush has a new thing in it where you can increase the contrast of a sculpt's details, and it'll kind of analyze the surface and take things that push in and move them further in and things that push out and move them further out. And that's really awesome for taking stuff to a printed sculpt, because different printers handle those details different ways. And no matter what you do, every printer has a loss of detail compared to your digital space. The digital space is literally math, so it's perfect. So going to that physical print, there's always going to be a little bit of a loss. It's not even that there's loss. It's not even that there's loss. It's a translation. That in the translation from digital to physical, you're always going to have variance, and different machines are going to work a little differently and so on. So, like, most of the stuff I have here, I am expecting I'm going to end up printing multiples of. And like this guy right here, I went ahead and boosted his contrast ahead of time so that like you can't really even see it on camera, but there's all these layers of scales. There's just layers and layers of scales all over this guy. And yeah, that being able to boost that contrast in ZBrush really, really helps out. Speaking of ZBrush, let's just pop over there and show you guys what this model looks like inside here. So one big difference, and I'm going to show this on camera here. Hopefully you can see. There we go. So I went ahead, the copy that I have in ZBrush here does not have the bottom hollowed out. I actually tried running the core piece of this sculpt, tried printing it once and it failed miserably because instead of hollowing this out in ZBrush the way I should have, well, or the way that I ended up, I hollowed it out. I allowed the auto hollowing to do its thing inside the setup program, which is called Chitabox. And Chitabox can do some really cool stuff with hollowing. And I think most of the folks who are using it aren't the artists behind the pieces that they're trying to print. So it's very handy for people to be able to hollow models in there and do the setups and all that kind of stuff. But if you're the original artist and you have the original files and the original sculpts and you're doing your own prints, well, you can go back and forth and you can test subject things. So when my print of this failed, I was able to analyze that failure and see that it was due to a thing called islands. And I had islands that were created by the auto hollowing in Chitabox. So I came back to ZBrush and I made a copy of just the rock shape here, then smoothed that copy and moved it down vertically and used it to hollow out this area down here. And I hollowed it out manually so that I would know exactly where there were any islands, and it was just like designing the sculpt with that end print goal in mind. instead of allowing it to go just in the setup program. So, and there's nothing wrong with Chitterbox. I'm really impressed with it. It's a free piece of software that comes with a lot of printers. I'm proud. There's another piece of software called Lychee that a lot of folks use, and I'm probably going to give that a shot at some point. But so far, Chitterbox has served me really, really well. So let's take a look at this guy exploded apart. So here you can see inside Zbrush, I have built in these keys, and with those I just took a cube and then tapered one side of it and pushed that in before re-dynameshing it all into one airtight mesh. And before I dynameshed this all together, the copies of those cubes that I pushed in, I duplicated and then set them to negative over here in the subtools so that they would then cut from the volume of what touched them. And that's like a very fast run and gun simple explanation of keying a model to go to print or production. But there you go. You can see there how that worked. So like if I take that tail, let's add that. See right there, you can see how that all lines up. So yeah, the translation of that to this, I feel, was really, really successful. It's actually kind of neat. Like I'm looking at my video software right now, monitoring the stream, and it's really wild to be able to hold this up into the camera next to seeing it on screen in ZBrush. That's pretty neat. All right. Sean asks if I have to hollow out the body as well. You could, and on my first try of setting it up, I actually did hollow out the body. If you hollow out the body on something like that, if I hollow that body out, then I have to put drain holes in there because the resin is fluid, and as it prints, it will just kind of like if I have a solid shape and it's hollowed inside, then it prints that shape. Well, as it goes down, it will dip, print a layer, dip, print a layer, dip, print a layer. So it's going to build like this, right? And it's going to trap resin inside that volume. So if you do an enclosed space that's hollowed, you have to put a hole in it somewhere for that resin to leak out. Because if you don't, that resin's not going to cure when you put it under the UV lamp or in the UV the curing box. That resin inside there is not going to cure. While everything outside is going to cure over time, I'm pretty sure it's like condensation pressure and like there's going to be chemicals in there that release over time, causing like basically gases inside it, and it's going to crack the model. That it's going to be in a completely airtight space. And as that stuff tries to dissipate, the pressure is going to build up, and eventually that model is going to bust apart. So you have to make sure, if you do an enclosed space, that you put holes in it somewhere for that stuff to drain out of. Otherwise, you're going to you'll have this beautiful piece sitting on your shelf, and one day you'll wake up and find that it's it's cracked in half because there was it'll crack in half, and this fluid will leak out, and it'll just be nothing but tears. So, yeah, I actually have not had that happen, but like I knew that there was a lot of complicated technicalities behind this stuff, so I just dug into it and started reading and reading, and watching tons and tons of YouTube videos. I'm watching YouTube videos on this all the time. There's a couple of channels out there that are just so good. And, but the way I just explained that, I think was probably a little, maybe a little easier to understand than the way I've heard. I've heard other people talk about it, and they're like, "Yeah, make sure you put a hole in it, otherwise it's going to crack the model later." And they wouldn't explain why. So that's kind of my little contribution there, I guess. Is it's like, yeah, this is going to be why this stuff is going to build up pressure inside there. It's going to do this stuff. So it's like if somebody says, "Oh yeah, you got to put holes in it," a lot of folks will be like, no big deal. Well, I don't know. They didn't say why, so it must not be that big a deal. It's a big deal. You really want to do that. So, oh, let's see. Gina's making fun of the way I say Chitterbox. Chitubox. 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 I don't know where they came up with that name. Yeah. Yeah, it's Chitubox. All right. So, let's see. Let's get a little bit of something sculpted in here this morning. I've actually ended up eating up a lot of my time just showing off the new dragon, the new old dragon sculpt. For those who are just joining us, yeah, the sculpt was actually done all the way back in 2013. I've been sitting on that sculpt for years, and to finally have that damn thing in my hand is so satisfying. I cannot even begin to tell you how satisfying that is. And there's so many others. So many others. For years, I have peeled off cool things that I've done, monsters and stuff that I've made. I just sat them aside and done things. I'm like, oh, that's a really cool sculpt of that, where I've added details and done things to it. I'm like, and man, one of these days I'm going to get that printed. One of these days I'm going to get that printed. One of these days I'm going to get that printed. Over and over and over and over. Now they live. They're happening. And then, I don't know. It's just super cool. It's super cool. It's so cool. So, yeah, that's a art. Oh, anyway, let's see. So I was going to take some requests this morning, or like listen to some requests and then pick one to riff on a little bit. So, somebody toss something out. Somebody toss something out for me to do a quick doodle of in Zbrush before we have to close this thing up. Otherwise, I'll end up closing it up early and just renaming the stream. I'll just change it when I edit it in YouTube later. All right, I'm watching the chat. Somebody toss something out there. I'm gonna go ahead and pop a sphere out here, make a polymesh out of it. Come down, go to my geometry, go to my Dynamesh. Zoom in here. And, oh, this light behind me is driving me nuts. I gotta turn that off. Oh, it's the one up top that's bugging. Excuse me. Oh, too bright. Alright. Light glares back at me off my Cintiq, and I just can't have that. Cannot have that. So what we got? Somebody got an idea for me? Do something adorable, not an alien. Okay. Well, I did a cute alien yesterday. Dune worm. Dune worm. Oh, I actually have a baby dragon sculpt sitting here that's gonna come to life at some point. I'm digging Dune worm, because that sounds like such a simple thing. It's just a tube, but nothing's ever that easy. Ooh, I know where to go with this. Since I'm all up into my printing anyway, let's just yeah. Oh yeah. I know where this is going. And it's going to be fun. So let's just use this sphere to make a base, and then that base is going to inform where we go. So let's see here now. Let's go on into here. Boom, boom. Grab some of this. Mask off some of that. Oh yeah, we're gonna have some fun here. The man says sandworm, sandworm it is. That's awesome. See, that's why I asked for a request, because, you know, I figured if I'm drawing a little bit of a blank on just a subject, it's like get other people to toss a subject out and riff on it. All right, so let's go. Let's extract these nice big. Okay. And then in here, I want to make these a little larger. These are going to be rocks. Turn that floor off. I find that very distracting. Yeah, do some of that. Blend those together. Just want to get some big, rough shapes out here. I'm literally just going to sculpt this as something that I want to print later. Pull some different shapes and things up from here. And clay polish all that. Clay polish is like the handiest way to make fast rocks. Like, you can get some really cool rock shapes so quickly out of that. Polish that. Do clay polish. Just clay polish it to death. Right. Now then, I'm going to go through and add a little texture here and there on some stuff. Just pushing it in. Beef that stuff up a little bit. Okay. Here we got. There we go. Yeah, I'm liking that. Let's add little striations here and there. Just riffing this, knocking in some quick rocks. Okay, clay polish that in. Okay, that's fine for now. Then I'm auto grouping all of them. Yeah, let's go to my brush and go to my, where is that at? Oh, there we go, auto masking. Set that to 100. That's fine. I don't need sculptress mode right now, thank you. Yeah. Just turn that off so it stops throwing the error. So, okay. Let's take a move tool down to 0. And what I'm going to do here is move all of these into roughly dead center. like so. Okay. And then we're going to, I have to remember, I actually haven't done this in a minute, so it's a neat trick if I get it right. If I get it wrong, then I'll know I did it wrong, so then I'll know the right way to do it. So let's do create. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it is from all subtools. Let's go group split. And I'm going to just, let's clone that off and then delete it. This right here is just all these stones. So create insert multi-mesh. I'm going to go back over to this guy right here. So now I should be able to, okay, I can drop these in. I can grab different ones to drop in. So now let's take that and turn it into a stroke. Okay. Don't want lazy mouse, I want curve. Curve node. Oh, is that going to bog it down? Is that going to bog it down? That's bogging it down. Did we have our first crash of the morning? No. Okay, good. I had it too small. Okay, so in curve mode right now, it's going to drop all of those. So then let's go to my modifiers. And dang it, I forgot how to make it go through. Go through all of that. That's annoying. All right, there's my mesh selector. I'm probably gonna have to go back and reread some stuff. I don't use this very often, which is why it's kind of a thing. Should be able to. I think I probably just did it wrong. Let's go merge. Let's try this a different way. So create insert mesh, new. Back over here. What I want is for it to literally spray these things out. And I don't use this that often. So there we go. That's sort of it. Sort of. All right. Yeah. Not quite right either. I'm going to try one more time before I waste any more time on this. We'll just see. Split groups. Let's try again. Brush. Create. Insert multi-mesh. Okay, there's that. Turn on curve mode. That's going to give us all of that one. That's really bugging me. It's really bugging me that it's not cycling through those. I forgot. It's so weird because I was just making a multi-mesh brush the other day. Like I said, I don't use that very often. So, all right, never mind. Well, I'm gonna kill the stroke on that, and we'll press these in manually because I'd rather get something done than sit here and labor on something I'm having a brain fart on. So, what I want to do here then, I'm gonna pull a few of these, turn them, rotate them different ways. Right. What I want is to end up with nice big rocky area here. that's kind of bursting out of the ground. Which I think we are going to get. Okay. Now let's just make those pop up like that. I'm going to grab move topological, and use that to kind of shift a lot of this stuff. If I set that down to just a 1, then it will just move an entire shape, an entire polygroup. Kind of handy. Okay, how am I feeling about that? Feeling like I want to close that hole up right there is what I'm feeling. Okay. Let's invert that mask. Mask up our view. And come in here with clay buildup. And just rough over this area. Sometimes with a clay buildup brush, it can be really cool to like change it to a spray. Okay, so there we've got nice ground shape coming up into these rocks. I'm digging that. Let's peel some of these out of here even further so we don't lose them. They continue to be useful. So I'm setting the stage here for this worm. All right, so there we have our base. I'm super happy with that. A little bit. There's certain kinds of intersections that irritate me with rocks. I can get super OCD with it if I let myself. So I never like for it to look like a rock is cutting through another rock. Like the certain way. It's hard to explain. It just never makes visual sense to me. All right, now that we have that, let's isolate just this part of the base. And I'm going to turn on my symmetry finally. And I'm also going to make sure that my symmetry is set both to X and Z. So now I've got 4-part symmetry there. And I'm going to come in and draw some masking here. That's going to be the general shape of yonder worminess. And I'm going to extrude this out a few times like this. Polish it. Let's smooth our masking a little bit there. Yeah. A bit more. There we go. Now I'm making a group of that. And I'm going to give it a nice flat edge here. Smooth that down once more. Guys, I'm going to create a couple things I'm going to make out of this, actually. You'll see. So first off, I'm going to mask that off. And we're going to extract it. Now we have this new subtool here. And gives us these nice little groups. So now I'm going to pull that up out of there. Okay. And then let's go back to the mighty sculptress mode. And I'm going to go ahead and start adding some shaping around this. Let's see which way is front. There's the front right here. So let's go ahead and do some kind of a belly ribbing sort of thing right here. Something that sort of defines that. And then I'm going to come in with just an interesting shape across the top. All this is just going to get merged back together in the end anyway, so none of that matters. Now let's add some ridges right through here. And I want to do something a little more interesting back here, since this is his back. And let's set that back to normal dots. You know, play around with shapes on these kind of back plate sort of things. All right. I'll smooth back over that a little bit. I'm really, like, it probably looks strange to you guys right now, but I know where I'm going with this, and it's going to be super cool. Okay, do a little clay polish on that. Sometimes I'll do that and then just run it back. It's like just a way of looking at something. All right, now let's go grab the mesh balloon. And I'm going to delete half this model for a moment. And turn off my symmetry. While I come in here with a clip curve. And clip that out. Then some of this, right? And let's go in here and hollow some more of this out. I can hear a certain special someone off in the distance. And it sounds like that certain special someone is making some coffee. And it would be super sweet that certain special someone could also perhaps be so inclined as to prepare a cup of said coffee for me. Let me just hand you my cup. You got the sweetener and everything over there. I can't really get away to stare at. Thank you, darling. She is awesome. She is so awesome. I don't know how she puts up with me. Ah, come back here. Smoother transition. No. Yet. Alright. So let's mirror and weld that. Nope, don't want to do that just yet. I want more going on this before we go that route. So I am doing this with minis in mind, so I kind of know about how much detail they'll really hold. Oh, here, you can just hand me that. Oh, yes. Did the Migo just break? Oh. Oh. We might have had a small foul here. Ah, that stuff's all fine. You just sit it back. Most of that's really resilient. The only, yeah, when she was reaching across to me, she kind of knocked a couple of minis over. And there's one that actually was already broken because I knocked it over the other day. So. Oh yeah, no, this little guy is too delicate. He's already like he actually came out broken, and I've had to glue pieces back onto him. I'll be redoing this with thicker limbs on him so that he's a little more resilient. So yeah, not a big deal. Not a big deal. All right. I want to add some lipping into here. Oh my god, that's also one of the great things about printing your own miniatures and stuff and having the ability to do that. Like I remember a time where, you know, those small delicate things like that, if something had fallen, I would have been like, "Oh no. Oh god." And now it's like, you know, it's like I know what the print cost is on that. It's not that great. It's going to be awesome. I can make another one. It's actually a very cool feeling, you know? There we go. If anyone has any thoughts on Patreon as a possibility for putting out some of this stuff, I I would be interested in thoughts on that matter. Right, now I want to add a little area here that I'm going to put teeth in. Okay. And then let's go ahead and add some shape to the outside of this guy. Okay, like that. Let's go a little further with it. Okay. Now then, for the sake of expediency here, I think I'm just going to draw a tooth out. Okay. We're going to polish it. And here with an H polish just to give it a little more definition. I don't want that tip quite so sharp there. And I oftentimes use Z-remesher just for the sake of getting a shape down to a cleaner mesh that I can then edit more easily at a lower resolution. See that right there? That's hot poop. Whoa, whoa, there it goes. There it goes. Morning crash. Morning crash. Every stream gets one, swear to God. Swear to God. Ooh. Let's see what got corrupted in this. Probably gonna take Zbrush down again. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Boy, that was a nasty crash. That ruined the crap out of that model. Thanks, Zbrush. So let's see how far back we can go. Okay, we can go back to there. We can go back to see save changes. No. All right, cool. Well, let's just that's fine. Clear that layer. All right. Well, I guess that's what we get then. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. These things happen. I can think of a faster way to do some of this anyway. So there. No. That's silly. Silly, silly man. Yeah, it's fine. How about no? How about let's go and do this? Okay. Let's grab this. There we go. That's better. Okay. There we go. I like those ridges better anyway, and they'll show up much better in a print. All right. crashes suck, but, you know, they happen. They're a fact of life in this stuff. So, better just to roll with the punches, you know. I mean, some days, yeah, things will happen, and it's just like, oh my God, you know, it's just horrible. But, you know, it is what it is. I don't like that peeled off like that. Let's do a mirror and weld on this guy. There we go. I don't think we lost a whole lot of time to that little crash, so could be a lot worse. Alright, I'm going to pull some trickery here. Alright. I like having that difference in shape on those. Alright, now let's crash it again real hard. Let's crash real hard this time. Oh, it looks like it's going to be painful. It's going to be painful. Gonna work? I don't know. I need more coffee. The tension's killing me. Alright. Let's see what we got. Cool. Let's go back in here now, Sculptress, and we'll kind of work some of this out, see where it ends up. I think we got some funky stuff in a few spots, but that's okay. Yeah, it's okay. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Alright. Let's... You know what? I don't mess around with a whole lot of other brushes. I tend to use a very limited set of brushes just for the sake of speed. But I do have a... Well, I shouldn't say I use a limited set. I have a library of my own brushes. And on these streams, I haven't been dipping into that much. So let's go dip into that a little bit. I have some Vdm brushes, which are vector displacement. And they're pretty nifty. So let's go grab this Monster Scales Vdm brush. And I think we can get some interesting shapes out of that. Okay. That's pretty cool. A little too much there. Oh, I like that. I like that. Yeah, that's where we want to go. Yeah. VDM brushes are really cool. They're almost a cheat. Like every once in a while, I'll just take a day or even just a couple of hours and make a new VDM brush. Let's turn the little lazy mouse off and set this guy back to one of these. See if we change it to direct. I do not know why ZBrush does that spinning thing with my drag rectangle. Very, very annoying. But anyway, yeah. That one right there is too small. Yeah, it should. I'm going to take a quick look at that because that's really bugging me. Oh, I have a spin rate turned on. Is that it? Yes! See? You guys get to watch me fix my own stupid problems. There we go. Now that's reacting the way it should. Wonderful. Wonderful. Neat. Oh, I like that. That's gnarly looking. That's super gnarly looking. This pleases me. This pleases me greatly. Let's see what other kind of funky stuff we can yank out here. Do I have other stuff in my VDMs? Let's see, panel overlaps. Miscellaneous lifted shapes. What do I have in that? Let's see if there's anything interesting in there. I only have one thing in there. That's something I must have sat aside and was going to add to later and didn't. Let's see, panel overlaps. Okay, that's for cloth stuff. What am I looking for? Need something. Need something tasty. Something tasty. Where are we going here? Monster scales, normal map. Wheel. Let's see. I'm curious. Let's see what they got in their stuff that just comes in Zbrush. Ah, here. Okay, yeah, I knew there was something like this I was looking for. Oh crap! No, that switched my Z. I don't want the ZTL. I want this. Derp. Burpin' derpin'. Yes. I knew there was something in here that I wanted. That's sweet. This pleases me. Pleases me greatly. Oh, I like that. I like that. Really like where that leads. We'll smooth some of this stuff out and add some of that coming up the sides here. Yeah, I'm digging that. Digging it, digging it, digging it. Now then, let's grab my pinch brush. Come back in. And turn that off. Because now that is going to end up kicking my details in the teeth. Just a moment. Alright, there we go, there's that. Now then. This is a good suggestion. I'm really having fun with this. let's see. Let's go to a standard. Nice and small here. I'm gonna open this stuff up in a minute anyway. Okay. Now then, let's do... I started to do teeth a little while ago, and that's where we crashed. So, kind of want to do some teeth again. Maybe this time in a way it's not so crashy. Let's add some definition on here so this isn't so... quite so spit sculpty. Yeah, like that. Oh. Just look over a little more. I like that. Nice and beaky. Nice and beaky. Okay. I like that. Coffee burp. Let's see here. That. A lot more topo on that. A lot more resolution on that than I really wanted. That's okay. Yeah, it's okay. I'm really liking this. I'm liking this way more than I should. It's so weird. So stinking weird. Alright, so do we have... Let's name this. And then I want to create a tooth that I'm going to press in repeatedly. I like that. All right, now create an insert mesh from that. You know what? I'm gonna do one other little thing to this. Let's yeah, we got a slice curve. Let's do a little something extra here. Okay, I like that much better for lots of reasons. Back here. Now then, come back up here to Das Worm. See, that thing that I added there kind of gave those teeth a little bit of a gum around them. And since I'm going to Dynamesh this stuff, that will translate into everything pretty nicely. So okay. Have a bug flitting around here on me. Now let's turn off that symmetry. That. I'm just going to barely move this so that it duplicates those. I'll move them back into place. Should be able to rotate those. Get them generally in place. It's okay if I need to move them a little bit. Curious about something. No, I don't want that. I want that. Oh, that's a giant almost. There we go. That's what I wanted. Very much. Nice. don't want these jaws intersecting anywhere down here. So I'm gonna soften some of that stuff up where it meets. And then go back into Sculptress. We're gonna add some little stuff down there. Kind of makes that make a little more sense. Something meaty, sinewy. Reduce that a little bit. Sorry, y'all, if I got kind of quiet. Just, that sort of happens when the details and things start to come together. It can get real hypnotic for me. That's kind of my favorite part of doing this stuff. When the groove gets in, you know. All right, now we have some teeth. I like that. And we have it emerging from its base. That's pretty cool. So now let's duplicate that, making a copy of that. And this is going to be a scary part. Let's Dynamesh that. Probably going to lose a ton of resolution there. Apparently not. Well, that's just pure awesomeness. Okay. Well, that being the case, I'm going to cut the bottom off of this. Actually, I don't even need to make a cut there because I already have a nice group. Oh, look at me. Thinking ahead and didn't even know it. Alright, so then I'll delete hidden on that. Alright, hide those guys. And, oh yes, yes, auto groups to the rescue. So I'm going to put some edge loops around that. Polish it once. Around that. Polish it once. Around that. Polish it once. Okay, so it's going to lose detail like that, but that's okay. Because what we're doing is going to run Z-Remesher. We have Symmetry turned on in all those directions. And I'm going to shoot for a relatively high poly count for me. I'm going to go like 50,000. That should give it enough resolution that it can project details back into it. And the reason I'm doing this is I don't want it to be just coming straight up out of the rock. I want to make it posed and then merge it all together to use as a print later. All right, it says remeshing completed. Oh, pure sexiness. Pure sexiness. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Nice. Nice. Right. So now I'm going to see what happens when I project tails. And honestly, for a tabletop mini, this is probably about right. It's not too bad. Let's just do a subdivision, project some details again, see if we get something a little more crisp. Okay, so now we have all those details worked in there, or at least somewhat. Let's do one more subdivision. This probably take a longer time to project it, but one more subdivision, then we can project it, and that's going to give us a subdivided model, so the lowest resolution is what I'll use to pose it, and then these details should follow through. Working. It's chugging. It's showing some love. Come on, Zbrush. You can do it. You can do it. Hurry up. All right. I'm liking that. I am liking that. So now I'm actually going to get rid of the original sculpt because it is actually poop. And we're going to keep this nice clean boy right here that I really dig. Very, very happy with it. And I'll keep a copy of that hidden in here somewhere. Actually, we'll work on the copy. So now I'm going to go down to a low resolution here. Let's turn on the base so we can see what we're doing with that. I'm actually tempted. Oh man, should I do it? Should I do the deed? Nah, I don't want to send this anywhere else. I thought about sending it over to Maya real quick because I know I can blast a rig into this in like a minute. But I want to keep it inside Zbrush. I'm going to keep it in here. I'm going to store a morph target so I can get back to that original shape anytime I like. And that. Probably would look better if I just rigged it somewhere. Do that in either Maya, or you'd actually do that in Daz Studio. Do a quick rig on it in there. There's some crazy little things that I've found that you can do inside there that would work pretty well. Let's just back in here. But it's nice to be able to just show the stuff, you know, quickly inside ZBrush. There we go. Doesn't have to be perfect. Come back through and make some little corrections and distinctions here and there. Come on, there we go. Let's grab this guy. Let's just peel him wide open. And let's use mask lasso to get these now that we can get in here a little easier. That's not cool. Let's go up a subdiv and see how it translates. I figured we'd get a little something funky in there. It's okay. Is that a tooth? That's probably a tooth at one point. Now it's not going to be no more. Yeah, let's change that smoothing brush to smooth stronger. At the lowest resolution, I'm probably going to do a lot of smoothing. And then kind of tap my details back in as I climb back up. Yeah, this will work out. I'm mainly smoothing to try and retrieve some volumes in some spaces. So yeah, that area right there, I knew that area was going to be rough. That is exactly why I probably should have just went ahead and done a quick rig on it somewhere else. But I really didn't feel like setting all that up, especially for the stream. Well, let's just we'll get this posed in here. And then I would say what's going to happen is I'm just going to come back in and resculpt certain little bits super quick. I'll have that right there to guide us. Now let's duplicate that. And I'm going to delete all the different resolutions, all that, different subdivisions. And then we're going to Dynamesh that. See how it comes out. Solo it. Dynamesh looks good and solid, so that's nice. So now we can kind of come back through and because this is just for a single sculpt, so I'm not worried about exactly how all the details get preserved or what kind of details I keep from the base sculpt on this. I know I'm going to have to stamp them back in. It's one of the reasons using the Vdm brush was actually a really good idea, because I kind of know that there's going to be some loss in this. There's also opportunities to add cool things in that will just be there for the print. Okay. Cool. I'm digging that. All right, so now let's come back in here and just accent these shapes. Give it some wrinkles and some folds and stuff under there. Probably should have done that anyway. I'll probably go back actually and alter the base design on this at some point, so that we have more of this kind of stuff worked in there so that it's fleshier and makes more sense for moving. So, I really like these fleshy swirls I'm getting in here now. Okay, that's pretty cool. Now let's go back and look at. Let's see, what was that? That was the first tooth that I made. Let's grab these snaky looking bits, and we'll come back in with a bunch of these. I'm going to change that to, from being the, let's see, having lazy mouse or curve on it. I'll change that to a drag rectangle and put those in much more manually. Interesting. There we go. Oh, I like that. I like what that adds. That's really cool. It really kind of makes some sense. Let's go this way. And then let's come in here. You know what? Let's just take an H polish and make this area so that it will work better with my Vdm brush. Sometimes flattening off an area is a good idea. Just adding some little planes to it like that. If you're going to use a VDM, there, you see how much smoother that goes on now. VDM is vector displacement, and it needs to have, it seems to me anyway, and I'm explaining this more from experience than from any kind of technical jargon. It seems to me like it needs to have a more planar set of vertices or faces to reference for itself, because it's trying to assume a vector, and the more crinkly and noisy the surface is, the harder it is for it to calculate the vector that's going to move vertices to. Alright, now let's switch off to a different Vdm. Okay, need to work my way up here. Use that H polish a little bit right there. There we go. A little better. I don't really lift that out as far as I would like, though. I'm not digging that. Let's come back through and smooth those out. That's more what I'm looking for. All right. Come on, finish saving it. I wish VDMs worked better with Sculptress mode. So that part kind of sucks a little bit. Because the way Sculptress mode works, if you keep, like you're using a drag rectangle, so your brush gets larger as you drag it. So then the larger the brush, the lower the resolution mesh is introduced. And that just kind of sucks. So I'm really using this right now just to sort of clear out some of these things that I know I want to go back and restamp in with my VDM. So I'll end up subdividing that stuff after the fact. I'm probably going overkill with details because this is not going to be a large scale print. Okay. Let's subdivide it once, and then there we go. Oop, let's grab that. I don't mind if I double some of those up a little bit. That's annoying. Some of that stuff's just getting a little too thin. I know it's not going to hold up once it goes out. It's going to be a royal pain ass to do supports on. Like I said, I'm like 90% aware that I am overkilling some of this. So we'll see. I think it's going to get Dynameshed again. And then a contrast applied that should finish it up pretty well for what I want to do with it. Oh, that is pretty cool. All right. Now, let's add a little bit of noisiness to some of this. I don't know. Boy, it's so tempting. See what it looks like that lower resolution. Of course, you know, when this prints, it's only going to be about that big. Like, of course, I'm looking at this on my screen, so if you're looking at a smaller screen, it's going to be smaller to you. But I tend to do this thing where I'll visually, I'll zoom out to where I can see on screen what it's generally going to be sized at. See what we get with a little clay polish on that. And take a look at a contrast. Okay, that's kind of cool. Good old contrast brush. Contrast delta. Ah, there we go. That's what I want to see. I want to see that surface noise added back in by that. We'll turn my smoothing down real low so I can kind of dial some of that back. Now we're getting somewhere. Oh, I feel much better about that now. Much better. Yeah, there we go. A little too much, getting a little crunchy there. Okay. Now I'm going to go back through and pick out some areas like this to accent damn standard. Go back up to the higher resolution. I know it's really going to hold these details. Okay. All right. I think that will make a really cool piece for a tabletop. I think I am going to spray a little bit more noise across it, because I'm like that. Just a little tiny bit. I feel like this should have some texture to it. You know, even though a lot of that will probably get lost by the time it hits the printer, it's still like having it there, because if I wanted to do a larger like showpiece print with it, scale it up and print it to have to show like on a, you know, just as a display piece on a shelf, then having that detail there, I'd rather have it and lose it going to a small tabletop print than not have it and need it when I want to go to a larger showpiece print. That. I can blow some noise in over here. All right. Oh boy, I really blew my time on this one. I try to keep them down to an hour. Of course, I didn't even start working on this until like a half an hour, 45 minutes almost in, because I got so caught up in like talking about the prints and all that groovy stuff. So there's that. Let's go ahead and let's see. Probably gonna need to make that base a little bigger. Just so that it will stand up well. Yeah, that ought to stand up. It shouldn't be too off balance from that. one last little change I need to make as I'm looking at it, with the base and everything there. I want to curl that back a little bit more. Yeah, I like that. And go through and move these rocks just a little bit. All right. Well, there you have it. I think the last thing that I would want to do with this is actually make copies of the base and then copies of that, of the worm itself, and then merge them together. Okay. So then there we have that full sculpt. I'm gonna whittle off that. Now I want to Dynamesh this to a pretty high resolution. So let's see. All right, let's try that. Shouldn't have too many holes to close, so shouldn't crash. May just take it a minute because it's kind of high res. So is that chugging? Yep, that's going to chug for a minute. So while we're waiting on that, I'm going to pop over to the chat, see how things are going. We have another individual joined us, Nightbot. Okay. Nightbot. I'll find the name. Shame you can't print it about 6 feet tall and put it in your yard for Halloween, Sean says. But you can. There are services who offer that. It's very expensive. Let's see. Is this dying? It's probably dying. But it auto-saved for me a few times, so we should be pretty good. Yeah, it's gonna crash. It's Dynameshing at just too high a resolution. That's such a shame. Such a shame. I wish it gave some kind of a warning or something like that. So that would be super helpful. But when I merged that together, it ended up 8.2 million polys, almost 8.3 million polys. So, and then I'm trying to Dynamesh that to something kind of comparable. So, yeah, is what it is. Let's see. I'm just going to go drill into my Zbrush quick saves and see what the time is of my last quick save. See if I cancel out of this, how much I would actually be losing. Okay. 11:08. It's 11:11. Yeah, I can cancel this and not lose anything. Close it. Die, Zbrush. Die for the second time this morning. All right. And let's bring it back. There it goes. All right. Yeah, I know you're going to complain. Which one was that? 39. Yep. So that should get us right back to where we were. Cool. All right, good deal. Zbrush's autosave just really does warm my heart on a regular basis. It warms my heart and it saves my hand all the time. All right, let's try this again at a lower resolution. Turned off. Come on, Zbrush. You can do it. I wonder if it's that I have it projecting details into it that's causing so much hassle. It's quite possible. Oh, nope, there it goes. Cool. Nice, 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 nice. Good details. 749,000 polys, which is actually great for a print res piece. I'm going to do a little masking on it now and possibly bump the contrast one more time. I'm thinking I might want to bump the contrast on the base. I don't want to mess with the contrast on that head though, because I really like how that looks right now. Does that make it too chunky? Yeah, it makes it too chunky, so I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that. That's okay. I do want to go through and kind of smooth out some of these little bits here that are just a little too jaggy janky. And add a little volume to them. Okay. And then, oh, I'm really tempted. I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to do it. Let's hollow out the bottom of this. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to grab one of these IMM primitives here. And let's use insert sphere. And if I hold the Alt key when I place an insert, then it's going to make it into a subtractive insert. And then from there, I am going to run the Dynamesh again. I probably don't need to hollow this one out because it's not going to be printing that large. Takes a little bit out of it. I like things like that that save my resin material to like make it so that I'm not using up so stinking much material. But yeah, it's a little something. That's okay. That's okay. I'm going to call that done, and let's do the morning turntable here. So let's set this to 600 frames with 3 spin cycles. And let it fly. All right. Oh, I feel pretty good about that. I like it. I like it. I think that that'll make a nice little tabletop piece. So, yep, pretty happy with that, and absolutely loving what we're getting with these prints. I gotta pick the dragon back up again. I love this guy, love him. So once I get off here, I'm gonna go paint some resin into the couple of little seams where he's glued together, and then sit him outside to cure. So at some point in the days ahead, I hope to get the time to paint this guy up. Very, very happy with him. So I'll be taking plenty of photos of that guy. Nice. Nice, 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 nice. All right. So let's swing it around here and get the final render. Cool. All right. That is going to bring us to a close. Really didn't intend to run quite so long, but got cool stuff going on, stuff I wanted to show, and the request was a nifty one that got my brain going, so I just ran with it, and there it is. Kind of cool too, because I feel like out of that request, I ended up churning out something that I'll be able to do some neat things with, So we'll see where all that turns up. I bet you that's going to turn up in a few different places. So let's close this out. Anybody else in here has a YouTube saying I'm having some stream problems. Hope you guys aren't having any real bad buffering problems. Alright. So, as always, remember, like, share, subscribe, go to 6s1.com to join the mailing list and all that groovy business. And till tomorrow, I'm out, folks.